Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I tinker with throughout the day. For step-by-step detailed instructions of those tasks, you can click on the links in the comment section below. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. This video also has tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. So, thank you very much for watching. Kicking off the day. Look like it's rained a little bit around here. On my way to Sam's Club, get some tires on the Panther, get those tires off of there that are splitting and separating. And then next week I have an appointment to get some tires on Queen Bee, but I need to find some time or take some time to paint those rims I got from my buddy Andrew. So let's get cracking. In this video, I'm going to do what I hope is a brief review of the BF Goodrich tires that I put on my car. As you can see, BF Goodrich. These are the G-Force Comp 2 tires. I put them on just barely over a year ago and have pretty much enjoyed them for the 40,000 miles that I put on them. Since you're watching this video, I want to ask that you leave some kind of comment whether you've tried these BF Goodrich tires or other tires that you've had good or bad experience with. Just leave me a little note below saying thanks for the video, you've used these tires, whatever. Just anything that has to do with tires. And as you can see, I now have 429,194 miles on the vehicle. These tires were installed on this 1995 Volvo 850 T5R, which is a turbocharged vehicle. So it's a sports sedan classification car, and it actually came with 17-inch wheels, which is the same size I have installed on it now. I do a lot of traveling around the country, helping people. The car is turbo, so sometimes I do drive, I guess I would say, spirited. I do have heavy duty suspension on the car because I do carry heavy weight sometimes, and I have even towed a vehicle with this car. So first of all, I want to say overall I am very pleased with the performance of the tires. They handle very well. Traction is great, wet and dry. Driving the car in wet climates, I don't ever recall losing traction at all, even though I have pushed them a little bit from time to time in wet traction just to see how good they gripped. Now, I wasn't trying to go crazy and spin off in a ditch or something, but I did push it a few times in the rain on wet surfaces to see if they would lose traction, and I must say I don't recall ever have losing traction even in wet weather with this vehicle. Now these tires are all season tires. There was only one day that I remember driving in snow in this vehicle, and it still had decent traction in the snow. I didn't have any trouble getting around from place to place on that one day we did have snow, and I was still very satisfied with it. Now, when we did have the snow, the tires only had about 4,000 or 5,000 miles on it, so the tread was, near new, but they did not lose air. I did not have any problems maintaining proper air pressure throughout the 12 months that I've had them installed on the vehicle. As of lately, the past couple of years, I've been a little bit obsessive in getting alignments done and keeping the tires rotated. So I believe because of my long journeys, they've been rotated about every 8,000 miles. Not 100% sure, but that's my guess. And with the alignment that's on it now, you can see this one is wearing a little close there, but in here still has pretty decent traction. A little wear on the inside and the outside. But in the middle, I don't see a wear bar anywhere yet. but there's still some tread in the middle. A couple of the tires are better than the others, and the size that I run is the 215 45 17. As you can see, this one has relatively good tread on it. Now, one of the tires, shortly after I installed them, had a flat. I didn't know it. When I noticed it had a flat, I changed it, took the car to the tire shop, and they said the tire was damaged. So one of these tires was replaced maybe a month after the other ones were installed. About 3,000 miles ago, I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was replacing the air conditioner compressor on the car. The car was up on the left, and at that time, I noticed that the tires actually started separating the tread from the sidewall of the tire. This was a surprise to me. As you can see there, each spot where this tread pattern is, there's a slot there that goes that deep. So for some reason, this tread has started separating from the sidewall. It appears to be going all the way around the tire at every mark on the tire. It's there on that tire. It's there on that tire. It's starting on this tire. Not as bad as the ones on that side. And I could barely notice it starting on this tire. So for some reason, and this may be the newest tire of the group that was put on, but you see, it even has a crack there. I'm not sure why that started happening, but when I see tires separating, I no longer feel safe, and I have arranged to have these replaced, even though they still have a little bit of tread wear remaining. My guess is I'd probably have another 10,000 miles to go on it. They currently have 40,000 on them. The warranty, I believe, is for 45,000, and I think they would probably last up to 50,000 on this sports sedan. Now me, being a person on a budget, I like to get all of the use out of anything that I buy. Tires especially. However, I am one that likes to be safe. I travel a lot back and forth across the country. I do not like taking chances with tires. I don't buy cheap tires. I don't want cheap tires. I need tires to have good traction, and I need them to have decent wear. So I'm not going to ride tires around on my car until they're absolutely bald. I am one that would get them replaced when they hit their wear bar. So I was probably not going to try to push these tires too much further. Like I said, maybe another 10,000 miles. However, with the tread separation, unfortunately, I have to bail, because I can't take the chance of a tire coming apart while I'm cruising down the highway at 70, 75 miles an hour. Speed limit in New Mexico, 75. A lot of part of Texas is 75. Some places as high as like Utah, it's like 80. But I'm not going to take that chance. So overall, I would rate the tires a 4 because of this separation. You know, that's kind of a shame. Now, I have had these tires in the past, never seen that issue before. I don't know if it was the lot number on it. I did take these tires over to the place that I purchased them from. Told them about my concern, asked them about a warranty thing. Legally, whenever you wear something down to its warranty, 45,000 miles, the warranty's over. However, because I'm not quite there, I would believe that there would be some kind of warranty claim available. Most of these companies prorate your tread wear. A couple of the tires is probably at the wear on certain parts of the tire because of some reason or another, like that one on the front passenger. However, a couple of them still have wear on them. My guess would be I would probably get a 10% credit. 10% credit on a $140 tire, $14 a tire maybe. Is that worth going after? 14, that's almost 56 bucks. Yeah, I would like to get that 56 bucks, but it would also likely be a credit towards the purchase of another set of the BF Goodrich tires. Do I want to put another set of BF Goodrich tires on my car at this time with this kind of issue? Probably not. I would probably wait a couple of years for them to get past this issue. I do not believe, or would have a hard time believing, that I'm the only one experiencing this issue. As you can see, the date stamp is the 41 week of 2018. So these tires were pretty new from the factory when installed. I have another set of those tires, the summer rated ones, on this wagon that was installed about the same time. Or actually, these are only 8 months old, but they have less than 400 miles on them. So hopefully the summer tires won't suffer the fate that those all seasons have. I also have those installed on this yellow sedan, which you can see are worn out. I have these scheduled to be replaced in a couple of days. Now, I'm looking for the date stamp on this. These tires were manufactured the 42nd week of 2016. So they are from a different lot, surely, and it looks like they may be starting to separate a little bit as well, even though they're worn out. Let me check the other three on this car. This one here, which has the same date, has a lot of tread left on it. It is not showing any signs of that separation. This is a replacement tire that I bought from eBay. As you can see, it's starting to suffer some cracking. However, that tire looks like it's from 2011. So this tire is going to be replaced next week and discarded. Has tread, but it's 8 years old. And this is the last one on this car, and it's starting to have some of that tread separation as well. So to sum up the review, I give these tires this kind of rating. On the ride and comfort, noisiness, comfort, I think these tires ride a little hard for a sports tire, so I would rate them a 3 on that. They seem to ride a little hard. On the quietness, maybe about a 4 for quiet ride. Now on handling and traction, I give them a 5. Man, they hold the road real well. They corner real great. The only time I was able to break them loose a little bit is in very aggressive acceleration. Now when it comes to tire tread wear and condition and the way they wore, I would give that unfortunately a 3 because of the separation. But they did last about 40,000 miles before I noticed that separation. So I give them an overall rating, I guess, 4, with a caution to the tire tread separation at about 40,000 miles. I have the Panther back home. I need to do some suspension work. I had to pull the CV axles, rebuild those outer boots for sure, maybe even the inner boots. I've ordered those. Should have them in the mail next couple of days. I also need to do the control arms. I'm not sure which one is wore out. I think it's the driver's side from standing next to the car, shaking the wheel at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions. When I grab the wheel here and here, and shake, I do get some vibration. So that is something else I need to do before I get Panther back on the road real strong. And the battery was drained down. Had to jump it here, had to jump it at Sam's. But I'm running now Goodyear Eagle Sports. I'm a little bit surprised at how far the sidewall comes out, but that will give a little bit, hopefully a little bit more rim protection than I've had in the past. They do feel nice and rubbery, soft. Brand new tires, and I will do a review on them probably in about a year, because hopefully they'll last that long with the design, at least 40,000 miles. Just had these installed from Sam's Club, thanks to one of my viewers. Made a generous donation toward me getting tires. 215/45 R17 91W weight rating. There's the tread, is the 560, traction A, temperature A. So these are Ultra Sport tires, and we'll see how they handle the Panther over the next year. Here I am back at Paul's place, watching Paul break the bubbles on the bubble wrap, working on this C30. We was able to get the head off, but unfortunately my phone was acting up so bad the other night, which was, I guess, Monday night. I couldn't film anything. The timing belt actually broke on the thing. It got jammed up so bad. And there's some stuff down there wrapped up under the crank I got to get out of there. So I'm probably going to knock the harmonic balancer off. But there's so much dirt up here from this area. When I pulled the head off and bumped this head gasket, we saw dirt fly everywhere. So now I'm going to pull this head gasket off carefully and vacuum this dirt up with the vacuum cleaner. And then Paul has a bunch of coolant hoses that he got from IPD. He's trying to go quality on everything and not get things from Rock Auto and places like that, because he knows how difficult I am to please. So we're going to vacuum this dirt out and start repairing things. One of them is the diaphragm in the PCV box. He got the thermostat housing. He got some coolant hoses. And we're just going to keep chiseling away until we can get this head back on. So step number one, vacuum up dirt. Get this head gasket off. See how much of this gasket, if any, I got to clean off of the surface of the block. And move on from there. Now, again, on this cylinder head, it jumped time. When we pulled the head off and checked the head, it really appeared that only two of the valves were badly bent. We could see where other valves made contact to the piston, but the car was actually idling when it happened. So it don't look like, that's number 3. That looks like it has some good contact there. This is number 2, had good contact on the intake. So it don't look like, oh, they had good contact on 4. Those are probably the bent ones. And that's 5. So anyway, there was 2 visibly bent bad. A couple was probably minor bent. But the car probably could have ran if all the stuff wasn't jammed up and wrapped up in the crank. But it would have had a miss and would have needed a head anyway. So that's what we're doing. Now, the problem with this vehicle is kind of a design flaw. Under the car, the compressor there is not really protected. So you can roll that thing up on a parking stump. Very common for people to do that. You get that car on that stump, it starts cutting the belt. It's trying to jam up the engine. The belt gets cut loose. Half of the belt starts rolling around, somehow gets in the timing belt area or whatever. It looks like something's tied up down in that timing belt area, and it locks up the timing and locks up the engine, throws the timing, breaks the belt. You're done. Unfortunately, I think it's a little bit of a design flaw. There may be some options to protect that. On the other Volvos, like mine, the older ones, and some of the P2s, the subframe of the car is lower than that, so that's not possible, I don't think, for that to happen like it is on these. So you may be able to thank Ford for that. Paul, because he has everything, he had this vacuum cleaner out of a Honda Odyssey, a newer model. We wired it up, hooked it up to a battery, and we was able to vacuum a lot of this dirt out of here. So now we're going to try to repair the PCV instead of replace it. And this vehicle has a electronic valve contraption, so if you're able to pop this off, you can replace this diaphragm in here. You get the diaphragm from IPD, so it's probably a common deal. But the trick is prying this off without destroying it. So I took my blade and I went around the seam of this thing, tried to figure out where that is. So now I'm going to try to get something on that seam and pry that off without breaking it in 12 pieces. Probably one of these things like that door motor that I take apart. Okay, so I took the claw hammer, got kind of a good point on it. I caught the lip of that thing and started prying it up, and about the fourth time I tried, it started coming up. So you want to go around that thing and get this off, but again, be careful you don't bust it. So it's looked like it's coming off. They said this whole contraption cost $350. So this is the poor man's way. Anyway, that's what it looks like. Looks like I gotta clean that out. Looks like there's some sludge in there. Brake parts cleaner. And I'm gonna put this spring on the new one. So hopefully this little bit of stuff here, and glue this thing back on. There's a little bit of sludge down there. I'm digging this sludge out because we don't want to leave that in there. Then I'm gonna spray it down with brakes parts cleaner, and then we're gonna change that diaphragm. Paul thinks you can press that on and pop it back on. You don't have to glue it. So let me go ahead and finish cleaning this sludge out. Spray down there with brakes parts cleaner and put this back on. Alright, so we got to dig this diaphragm out. Oh, it come right out. Nice and easy.
Oh, you got it. How the hell I was doing a screwdriver and it worked?
And work this one down in there. So let's go ahead and do that. That just kind of felt like it fell down in place. Now we're going to set that spring back on there.
What?
And this little tip goes to the back. So we're going to put that back in there and snap it back in place. And that diaphragm's trying to come out of there. But that's where I scraped it on the front right there. So I'm sure that goes toward the back. When you set the spring in there, it goes around the outside of that ring, and as you can see, it's not falling out. So let me work this back on here, press it in and try to hear a pop or a click. We got that thing in place. Oh, pressed it on with some force. Alright, it's rocking back and forth, but I'm gonna go ahead and get it down all the way around. Try with my hands first. If not, I'm going to lightly tap it with the hammer while I hold one side down. Paul's running the math. He said he saved $323, but he didn't deduct my labor for some reason, which of course is half of what you save. So, got that back together. Next, we're going to do the thermostat. This has to come out of this thermostat housing. So I'm going to pull that ring out, pull that sensor out, and get that stuff in that other new thermostat housing.
We could do that now, yeah.
And then we're going to do coolant hoses.
Right,
so let us keep moving. Next, going to take this thermostat housing off. I think we got 2 bolts here, 1 bolt here, hose clamp here, hose clamp here. That should come off, and then we'll work on figuring out where all these hoses go, we got to replace. So you take the hoses off first, because that's holding the unit in place. That's just my opinion. Then take these 3 10mm bolts out. When you pull that thermostat assembly off, make sure you get the gasket off of the engine. So pull that off the engine, and you can clean that off with a brass wire brush and put the new one on there and bolt it on. You don't want to leak. I'm replacing this radiator hose that goes from the radiator on the passenger side up to the thermostat housing. So the oil dipstick tube is in the way. So you got an 8mm screw that goes in from the front of the car toward the back into the oil filter housing. So pull that out, then you should be able to get the oil dipstick out. Like I said, it's an 8mm. As usual, watch and pay attention to how that stuff is routed so you can put it back. We're going to put it right back right now and hook it on the thermostat. I went to put the temp sensor in, it felt real loose. I looked down in there, the new one, there's no gasket. So this gasket must come with the temp sensor because it don't come with the thermostat housing. So I got to pull that purple gasket out, put it down in there, then install the temp sensor and secure the temp sensor. Here is the other octopus hose that goes on the driver's side of the engine. We're going to try to find all these connectors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take all those loose, snake that hose out of there, and then put this one in its place. Looks like fun. The hose on the driver's side. You got a connector here, a connector back there. I got it from the battery side. Then it comes down here, and there's a connector on top of the transcooler. I popped that one loose. Then you got the connector down on the radiator, down there, and there's one more hose that the connector, you can't see it. So I'm going to take this wire harness loose here, which is a T25, so I can move these wires out of the way. And I think that connector, maybe it's all the way down there on the bottom of that transcooler. So that may be the bottom of that. So let me follow that hose around and see if that moves. Yep, that's it. Bottom of that transcooler down there. So I'm may be able to get that from the bottom. I doubt it because the intercooler piping is in the way. So we're going to have to work on figuring that one out.
No, that's in the mom. I don't want to tell her.
All right, I got that clamp loose there. I'm pretty sure I broke that loose. Yep, it's loose. Got this loose here. I had to cut this one off the transcooler. I had to cut that one off the transcooler down there. And I got this clamp loose here. But I got to get my arm in here to pull that thing loose. So that's the last one I need to pull loose. Then I can maneuver this out of here somehow and get the replacement one in the same way. So let me work on that. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.